The Dialed In Angling Podcast, presented by OnX Fish, Fish USA, Ski-Doo, Runnings, Minnesota DNR, Strike Master, 13 Fishing, L&M Fleet Supply, and DeWalt. Well, this week we are off the ice. I am pumped to be at the Northwest Sportshow. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting in the Lund booth in my own Lund boat, 2075 Pro V. It's rigged up. You want to talk about going back home and having spring fever after this? It's going to be really hard to pick up the auger and start drilling holes after you leave the show. I tell you what, this weekend, it looks like it's going to be a prime weekend to get down to the show. We've got rain in the forecast. The landings are going to heck as we speak. No better time than to come down to the Northwest Sports Show, swing by the Lund booth, and see this whole crew here. Guys, I want to welcome you to the Dialed In Angling Podcast. Jeremy, let's start with you. I've got Jeremy and Jesse from Lund Boats. Thanks for coming on the show with us, guys.
Yeah, Tony, thanks for having us. This is Jeremy Johnson, president of Lund Boats. I've been at the helm going on 3 years. Excited to be here.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. Jesse, let's introduce you.
Yeah, Jesse Hennish, Director of Sales with Lund Boats. Boy, what an exciting event this is. You walk into the show and you see this Lund display and the Lund boats, and it's just like, you just feel energized. And I'm with you, Tony. I've been spending a little bit of time on the ice when I can. And now that I'm here, I'm like, you know what? Let's just get to the open water. We need to get this boat in the water instead of sitting here talking on this.
You know, I was thinking like fishermen in general are always planned around, I would say a calendar, but more of a weather calendar, because we've had Marches in the past where it's been cold and nasty right up until April, and we're still ice fishing in April. Like, my phone doesn't ring off the hook. People aren't even thinking about fishing or booking guide trips or booking their vacation. That first 50 or 60 degree day, my phone rings off the hook. So fishermen are at work, anglers are at work. And as soon as you get that first nice day where they can get out, they get the grill out, they start bringing their boats out, they start dusting off their electronics, they start thinking fishing. And it's no different for me. I'm the same way. I know the last about a week and a half of putting my ice fishing stuff away in the pole barn, you start looking like, man, there's a big empty space where I need to make for a boat right about now. And so the fact that we're sitting in the Lund booth in my boat in a 2075, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, it's really kicking that spring fever into high gear. And man, what a booth. You want to talk about an unbelievable space. Jeremy, can you tell us a little bit about how this Lund booth came about? I mean, we got Lunker Lake here. We've got a giant Lund booth behind us. We've got a ton of boats. This is an awesome spot. This is just unbelievable.
Yeah, we really have something for everybody. I mean, Tony, you talked about this time of year. People are excited to get out in the water, so we thought we'd capture that excitement. We're known for the ultimate fishing experience, and you come down to the booth, and you can fish at Lunker Lake, Fishing 101. We've got the Student Angler Tournament Trail folks here doing a raffle, and then we have very tactile displays around the sport track and a boat builder. And then, Jesse, I want you to talk about this new partnership we have, too.
Yeah, I mean, this partnership we have, if you haven't heard about the announcement from yesterday, we have partnered with the Minnesota Vikings. We have on display down here an 1875 Impact with a Lund wrap on it with the Vikings, and it's got the most famous words in Minnesota on it. Skol, baby.
I saw that. I shared the post, like I said, off air. I just saw Amy, the marketing director here, and I saw her post this morning. I shared it. I'm like, how cool is that to have a Lund wrapped boat sitting in front of US Bank Stadium? It's awesome.
I think what's going to be awesome about the partnership is the things we're going to be able to do with the Vikings. We're looking at doing some different community events, maybe some things wrapped around youth fishing, right? We all know the future of the sport is in our youth, and we want to do as much as we can to get them involved early. So that's one of the things I'm excited for, along with we're going to be doing some game day events and some training camp things. And yeah, just really a lot of excitement, I think, more about that, about just getting youth more and more involved in our sport, right?
Yeah, really aimed at the next generation of anglers. There's a lot of choices out there for families and sports, and weekends get filled pretty fast. But we definitely want to help educate and get the youth hooked on fishing, and then they become that next generation of boat owners for sure. Come on down.
Lund is obviously the ultimate fishing experience, right? And it's the ultimate family fishing experience. I always tell the story. I was literally bottle fed in a Lund. Like, it's a true story. Like, I always tell it at Lund camp, right? People are like, they're like, all right, Tony, tell us your background. And I'm like, okay, well, I grew up in a Lund boat. My first boat was a Lund boat, but before I owned my first boat, I was literally bottle fed in a Lund. My dad took me out when I was 6 months old in a car seat, put me in the front of his Lund boat. It was on Pelican Lake in Brainerd, and he's back trolling, catching walleyes. It's raining. He's got me covered in plastic. You know, he always tells the story, but he said I never made a peep. Just absolutely loved it. The sound of the boat and I remember being a young kid, and like sleeping in the front of my dad's boat and listening to the sound of the waves. But I was literally bottle fed in a Lund. And then you go from there. My first boat, I was 10 years old. I had a little Lund 14-foot boat that my dad got for me, little 9.9 Johnson or something on it, you know, but I used to carry the motor down to the boat because my dad said you can't leave the motor on the boat. You know, we lived in Moose Lake. I mean, I don't know why, but I always had to carry this motor back up to the shed. But that was like kind of my ritual. You know, I'd carry my own motor down to my own boat and go fishing on my own lake and back troll and catch walleyes. And it just, from there, you fast forward to today, I would not be who I am if it had not been for those experiences. I remember being out with my grandparents in their Lund boat, and they always had snacks. So they're always throwing us donuts, you know, from my grandpa had the old Lund boat with the console up front with like kind of the swinging cup holders, you know, and he had the aluminum bow. So I remember my grandma like sitting over the bow, like tossing us donuts over to our boat because my dad would never bring snacks out in the boat, you know, so we're catching donuts in our Lund boat. And you know, again, here I am today. Now we're at the Northwest Sports Show in the Lund booth in my own Lund boat.
What percentage of your life has been in a Lund boat? That would be...
People always ask me like, hey, how many days a year do you fish? Or are you on the water? You know, obviously if it weren't for ice fishing season, I mean, I literally go till right up till ice, and then it's ice fishing season, and I'm back in my boat as quick as possible. And so it would be a really large percentage. Yeah. I think my wife, if my wife here was here to chime in, she would say it's got to be. I mean, for a while, I know I wanted to push over 300 days a year fishing. That was like my goal, like 300 days a year.
Wow.
But my kids, if you guys listen to Dialed In Angling podcast, if you watch the show, I've had my son Robbie on, my daughter Hannah. She loves to fish just as much as Robbie, and those kids, man, I'd send them anywhere. Like, we always joke around about, you know, because we always have like family tournaments when we're fishing, you know, and Hannah always jokes with me and Robbie saying like, you know, she would put herself up against us any day of the week, you know. So, and my kids have grown up. Like, both my kids have their boating permits, which is required by the state of Minnesota, which I highly recommend. You go online and do it. It's a great experience. Even if for people that aren't kids, if you're new to the sport, if you're new to boating, go on there. That class is super easy. It walks you through everything. You get your boat permit. I think eventually, you know, the state of Minnesota is going to get to the point where they're going to have everyone require it, right? And so my kids took their boating permit, but even at like the Lund photo shoots, I mean, Hannah's out there driving boats. Robbie, I would have them. They could drive any one of these boats. I mean, they're master at driving any boat or fishing. I mean, but that's what we are. We're a fishing family, and that's why I bring it up. You know, it's Lund Ultimate Fishing Machine, but it is really truly a family machine.
And it sounds like your family's probably a little bit competitive too when it comes to it, Tony.
Super competitive. Like, it's always a tournament. It doesn't matter what we're doing. You know, a tournament always breaks out at some point.
You fish Lund Mania as well. It's
Lund Mania, yep. Yeah. My son Robbie and I.
Absolutely.
Actually, I started fishing with Phil, and then Phil's like, you know what, Robbie's old enough. You guys got to fish Lund Mania. And so we started doing it. Now we look forward to it every year. We've already got our entry in the first day. We're ready to rock. So we'll be out there in Ottertail fishing Lund Mania.
Those spots go fast too. Glad you're signed up.
And so Robbie and I are planning out our summer right now because, you know, he's graduating this year. So we're trying to get as many fishing events in that we possibly can. And so Lund Mania is on that list. You know, that's going to take up a week. We've absolutely fallen in love with, if you've listened to this podcast, you know that we've fallen in love with catching lake trout and fishing on Lake Superior, and that's in our own backyard. So we're doing a lot more of that. We're planning a couple other events. We're going to head up to Lake Winnipeg this year. A couple of buddies of mine, Phil Jensen, a couple other guys, Roger Stearns, you know, maybe you can bring Sproul over there. We're going to do sort of a post-graduation week up there, up at Hecla Island on Lake Winnipeg. Because if you haven't fished Lake Winnipeg in the summer, you got to get up there. It's phenomenal. There's a ton of big fish. I think the number of big fish that are caught, late May, early June up there is just like mind-blowing. So Phil's been talking about it for years. I know Roger Stearns has told me about it. Ryan Sproul has told me about how great it is. I know they used to have the Pine Falls tournament in the fall, but I'm looking forward to getting up there in the spring and really experiencing that.
You got room for one more?
Absolutely. Always. I always tell people in my boat, I'm like, hey, come on. I've already been telling Phil, like, we ice fished up in Manitoba this winter and met a bunch of really nice guys. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be up at Hecla Island. I've invited so many people. I'm going to have like 10 people jigging in my boat, so.
Well, you got the right boat for it. That's the one cool thing, right? Running this 2075 Pro V, you can fish in pretty much any type of water you want to fish and fish for whatever species you want.
You can. And with the Sport Track system, like we were talking off air, I'm going to try to rig up this summer where if people want to, they're going to have their own forward-facing sonar unit. So I'm going to take some of my ice bundles, put them on the Sport Track systems, and I'll have it rigged up so that individuals that are in my boat or my kids can cast. We started doing that last year. Obviously, the way this boat's rigged up, that I got it rigged up from Rapid, is I've got 2 Lowrance units up front, 12-inch units. I've got an active target on the trolling motor. And then if you come back here, I've got an active target on a pole on a Sport Track, but I also have these ice bundles at home that I just don't want to collect dust all summer. So what better use than to put them on a Sport Track bracket on like a 360 unit? Now I can just click them on there, get it on my boat. Now everybody can use a forward-facing sonar if they'd like.
I think that's perfect. I think that's probably, going back to the show a little bit, one thing you'll see different in the display this year is you're going to see some boats that are fully rigged up. There's a crossover here that I know Rapid Marine has done some accessorizing too with the stereo system. The battery's hooked up.
It's got a subwoofer on it, I think.
Yeah, so somebody should come down and just turn that on.
Just turn it up
when we're not
Crank
looking.
it up in the boat. Yeah, why not?
And then a couple other boats, like Tony said, his boat's all rigged up and ready to go. So it really gives you an idea of the customization you can do to these boats and rig them up the way that you want. So I really recommend coming down and checking them out.
Well, yeah, and also for anglers out there like me, like I'm out, even though I'm on the water every single day and this boat's rigged out kind of the way I want it, I always like seeing how other anglers have their boats rigged, because as soon as you jump in with another angler, you're like, oh man, I didn't think about that. It's cool with Dialed In Angling. I get to fish with a lot of different anglers. A lot of them are my buddies, but I also get to jump in boats or even on the ice with people, and I get to see how theirs is set up. And it's, anglers learn from other anglers. And so it's nice to be able to get into a boat and see how it's set up. Even if you're down here just looking at new boats and setups, electronics are a big piece of that puzzle. Another thing are batteries, your battery power, how you're powering that boat. This year, I've got Norse batteries in mind, but how people are rigging those up, how they're wired. There's a lot of the experts down at the show that can help guide you or navigate you to the right people that you can get that rigged up the right way.
Yeah, and our engineers have put a lot of thought into kind of how the rigging of the boat is going to happen and making sure that that it's ready to really rig any electronics that you want in any configuration. So,
and the other thing we're doing when we're here, we take customer feedback and we take that back to our engineers. And as we're redesigning the boats or coming out with the next model year, it's feedback from the people that are using them that go into the next generation of boats.
I always think too, is when you get down here, not in addition to just even the manufacturers, you got guys like Perry Good running around, other pro staff. I saw, Ryan Duchesne,
Ted Takasaki
Travis Frank's
tomorrow.
boat is sitting right next to us, so how they also rig their boat, because everybody wants it rigged a little bit differently. But I love what we've done to these boats as far as integrating charging systems and different things. Can you guys speak a little bit about that? I know you just touched on it, the tool systems. I sometimes take it for granted because I'm always in a Lund. So, you start to take it for granted, and you realize that when people get into these boats, they don't realize all these upgrades and how things have changed and evolved. The LED lighting. You look around the boat, you see all those features.
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about the Sport Tracks and how you could, do some different forward-facing sonar stuff. We have a Sport Track display here that shows a bunch of our different accessories. What we're trying to do is make it easy for the consumer to rig their boat without having to go and run a bunch of wires, drill a bunch of holes.
The versatility is what we're focused on.
Yeah. And then, you can really order the boat the way you want it. Some people are running a lot of electronics. They want to run an extra battery. We have house battery options. Some people don't want the extra battery. Like, you can really customize it the way you want. I'm just looking at your boat, Tony, when we're looking, I'm like, man, that LED lighting that goes all around the inside of this boat.
It's so nice. Cool. Last year on the podcast, we talked, Mille Lacs Lake for a long period of time, it was closed at night, right? But they finally opened it. And I was like, you know what? I haven't fished at night for a long time. And we went in my pole barn. I was like, I got to kind of get all my lights, because I used to have these little light systems. And I was sitting in my boat. I was like, Robbie, check this out. And I hit the button and boom. I mean, it pretty much lit up the whole pole barn. He's like, I don't think you need to worry about those little, cheap aftermarket lights anymore. This literally lights up this whole boat. It's so nice. Cool. I mean, you could tie knots in here. You don't have to worry. I remember in the past when fishing at night or even in low light in the mornings, like I'm more of a morning person than night person anymore. Like, you won't see me out at midnight, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning very often fishing anymore, but you will see me sometimes 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And it's unbelievable how bright that LED light is, to the point where I can tie knots. I can do something. There's been a few times, even in my pole shed, the lighting's not that great in my pole barn, where I've actually clicked the lights on just so I could,
nice.
I'm constantly retying and doing things for guiding. And to have that extra lighting in here is just super crucial. The seats that you guys are sitting on in the back, those jump seats in the back,
pretty comfortable.
Use them all the time.
Yeah.
I always thought, when I first got the jump seats in the back, I thought, I'm not really sure. Probably you'll stay closed the whole time. No, use them almost every single day. The fact that there's storage underneath there, the more storage, the better. And this boat, a 2075 Pro V for me, just for guiding, because I'm a multi-species angler. The way that this boat's set up with the drawer systems, the storage, the cup holders, the Sport Track system, the LEDs, the accessories,
flat dash.
It is truly the ultimate fishing experience, because it's the way that I fish. Yeah, the flat dash to get my graphs in there. It really is the ultimate fishing machine. My customers will attest. When we go out on the water, I mean, we've always got plenty of room in this boat, and everything's sort of put away, and except for this always becomes my junk drawer. This is like when I clip off a crankbait or a jerkbait or a jig, it always tends to find its spot down in there. So like my son's always going through that area because he knows that's where like things have gotten discarded. So like he's always stealing lures from the junk drawer right there.
Everybody's office has a good junk drawer. Oh, so that's your junk 100%. Drawer in your office. The thing is, in talking about the 2075 Pro V, but there's a lot of other boats to fit a lot of other people too. And there's over, just looking around and counting the Lund boats in here, there's probably 23, 24 Lund boats on display here at the show. So a little bit of something for everybody. And, I'm looking at some of the pricing and specials going on, and I'm like, whoa, you can literally get into a 1650 Rebel XL for $26,000, right? Like, wow, ultra competitive pricing down here.
Come see our brand new launch of the Explorer relaunch and bringing that back, 17 and an 18 footer, and then a really super sleek looking, almost fiberglass lookalike crossover in a 1775 or 1875. Really sweet boat.
Ton of cool models. If you have no plans for the weekend, or even if you do, you should incorporate them into coming down here. I know there's a lot going on with the state high school hockey tournament, but even I've already talked to some people down here, some dads that drop their kids off at the hockey tournament, and they're actually walking around the booth right now and checking out boats. Like, that is the way to do it. And you know what? Come down here and like I said, the Lund booth, you can actually build your own boat. You can see how the transom, how a cutout of a Lund
we have boat
is
cutaway.
built.
You can see the inside of a Lund boat. We can walk you through that.
It's super cool. This booth is awesome. I've always, ever since I've been a little kid, I've loved coming down to the Northwest Sportshow. Fishing the trout pond. I remember hitting my dad up for cash nonstop for the trout pond. And we figured out the trout pond years ago. This is the dialed in angling tip of the week. If you're listening to the podcast, if you're bringing your kids down here, there's 2 things in there that trout never get to see. And that's movement of the fly, right? Every kid just drops their fly in the water and they kind of dangle it here. Horizontal movement of that fly. If you take that fly and you drop it in the water and let it sink to the bottom and snap that thing along the bottom, you're going to catch a trout. The other thing is current. Right? The current kind of disrupts the water. Oh, here we go. We got the loudspeaker on. But the current disrupts the water where the trout are. And so wherever there's current, you're going to catch more fish. Wherever their nose is.
I'm going to use this tip right away.
Hey,
this is helpful.
This is the trout pond tip of the week. There's a couple others that involve maybe some scented baits that weren't allowed back in the day, and some split shot. We actually figured out split shot worked really well in the trout pond. But yeah, so you got the trout pond, you got a lot of other things, but the Northwest Sports Show for me has always sort of been that, kind of threshold into spring. It's that next step into spring. February in Minnesota is long, man. In the Midwest in general, in Canada, I mean, February for me, even though it's the shortest month, it's always the longest month. And so to have the Northwest Sports Show maybe a little bit early this year is great. And the timing couldn't be more perfect with the weather. So great time to come down to the show. I've taken up a lot of your time. I know there's a lot of people starting to trickle in the booth, so I'm going to cut you guys loose. Before I do, though, I want to thank you guys for being on the show. Thanks for sitting in my new boat. Nobody spilled any coffee in my boat yet.
Not yet.
That's to come, But, up next, I've got plenty of more guests here on the podcast, so you're going to want to stay tuned. My next guests are Nick and Caden. They're from Burnt Pellet Barbecue. They're going to talk a little bit about their channel, their association with Lund Boat. I know they're big fishermen. We talked off air, so stay tuned. We got more Dialed In Angling coming your way. The cold months are rolling in, but that doesn't mean the adventure slows down. There's only one way to make the most of winter with the 2026 Ski-Doo lineup. Whether you're heading deep into your favorite fishing spots or carving your own path off the grid, Ski-Doo is built to take you there. And there's a reason Ski-Doo has been the best-selling snowmobile brand for more than 2 decades. Proven, reliable, world-class performance. Winter moves fast. If you want it, get it.
It's that time of year again, anglers. Winter is here, and L&M Fleet Supply is ready to make this your best season ever. Head into your favorite L&M Fleet Supply location across northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, or Michigan's UP, and browse the extensive collection of DeWalt tools and accessories, all guaranteed tough. Cut through the thickest ice with DeWalt's 20-volt drill. Brighten your setup with the assortment of 20-volt portable LED lights. And stay entertained with the DeWalt Bluetooth 20-volt speaker. It's weather-resistant, rugged, and ready for any adventure. Check out DeWalt's guaranteed tough deals and more at L&M Fleet Supply. Together, they're the perfect match for all your ice fishing needs.
Hey, Dialed In Angling fans. If you're looking for the greatest selection of ice fishing gear online, you're going to want to check out fishusa.com. They're America's tackle shop. They've got all the premier fishing brands under one roof. Check them out at fishusa.com. All right, welcome back to the podcast. Once again, we are at the Northwest Sports Show at the Minneapolis Convention Center. It's running this weekend through Sunday, so March 6th, 7th, and 8th. You got 3 days to come down to the Northwest Sports Show and take a look at the boats. We are actually still sitting in my new Lund. It feels good. I'm leaning on the steering wheel, and I'm going to introduce my next guest, Nick and Caden Niskota of Burnt Pellet Barbecue.
Yeah, thanks, Tony. Thanks for having us.
Not only, hey, welcome to the podcast, but welcome to sitting in my boat. Doesn't this feel good to be in a boat?
It's a nice boat. I call this seat, for this summer maybe.
Yeah, heck yeah, passengers, sure. Yeah, you and Kane come fishing anytime you want. As long as you can cook some barbecue for me afterwards. There's 2 things I'm really good at: fishing and eating. So this is perfect, dude.
You got yourself a deal.
Hey, let's start. You got kind of a cool story. Listeners are probably thinking, well, why are we talking to Burnt Pellet Barbecue guy? And, just talking off air with you and Caden. Caden's your son. Hey, Caden, introduce yourself, bud.
I'm Caden, and I'm Caden Niskota, and I like to play hockey, and fishing is one of my hobbies.
Heck yeah, dude. I like to play hockey too. I'm just not as good at that as I am fishing and eating. So, but yeah, Nick, tell me a little bit more about Burnt Pellet Barbecue and how it got started and your tie-in with Lund and all that stuff, man.
Man, it's one of those things where, you just kind of take a leap of faith and start something and go with it, and crazy things kind of happen, cool opportunities. It started as a COVID project. I've always loved cooking, even as a kid. And, being stuck at home and scrolling on social media and all this stuff, I was like, man, there's a lot of good recipes out there. I can do that. So I kind of just started posting like photos of recipes, that grilling and barbecue and all the things that I like to do. And it kind of took off. You meet with some of these brands, they reach out to you and they're like, hey, try this product and all this stuff. Well, things evolve over time, you grow, and yeah, I do this full time. I've been doing it full time now for 3 years. I have a food blog, so got hundreds of recipes out on my website. A lot of barbecue, grilling, easy recipes. Just I really have taken the approach of like, let's just keep it relatable for people, because a lot of people will try to complicate things in this space, and I think it's important for it to be approachable and people actually want to make it. So it's grown. I'm close to over 4 million followers on all social media platforms. And, it's just been one of those, like I said, one of those things where it just keeps growing, and, you know, you get these cool opportunities like, hey, talking to Ryan, let's come hang out with Lund. I mean, that I've been a huge Lund guy for a long time. Love fishing. All my kids fish. You know, we're always boating, fishing, something on the weekend in the boat just to get out. And, what a cool opportunity. And now I'm here with you today. So,
well, what's cool is like Ryan texted me and he's like, hey, you know, I got Nick from Burnt Pellet Barbecue. And I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, I would have him on the podcast. I was like, sweet. Yeah, whatever. I mean, I love barbecue. I like you, like cooking, you know, and, I'm like, okay, cool. What's the tie? And he's like, yeah, I was actually watching his videos. Turns out he bought a boat from Rapid Marine, and you know, sort of that was the tie-in. And you and Kane go fishing all the time, and then all of a sudden it just sort of evolved. And I was like, heck yeah, I'd like to have him on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny how that worked out, because you know, I primarily do food, and last year we've done a fishing trip. We go up north. I've been doing it for 30 years. Same place, same group of guys. My dad, uncles, cousins. It's an amazing time. And now, how cool is it that I can bring my son?
Yep.
And, you know, so primarily I'm doing food content. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this more lifestyle, and I'm going to show people like packing up the coolers, packing up the boat, going fishing, catching them. And it was just one of those things where I'm like, oh, I'm going to post this and whatever. And well, Ryan saw it, and that's how we got connected. So it was just a really cool story, how you just never know what can happen, you know?
With the TV show, ours Dialed and Angling, you know, I don't show a lot of the backstory, and where we can tell a lot of the backstory is on this podcast.
Yeah.
But, you know, I love those videos. Like we were talking earlier about how I have this boat rigged up, or how I have my boat organized. You know, I think I need to showcase more videos like that, because I just take it for granted, you know, that this is my pole barn. We got the LED lights on, the music cranking, the barbecue going, and we're rigging up a boat, rigging lines. Like that's just a normal daily routine for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, showcasing that, I think that's super cool. I like to see sort of the backstory of everything and how people have things set up. I also like catch and cook sort of deals too, you know. And I'm always looking for tips on barbecuing, because like I don't want to say like I'm an expert cook, but I'm pretty decent, right? I mean, a pellet grill makes me a heck of a lot better than I actually am.
I'm right there with you.
But I've also gotten into like using a Blackstone. I've gotten into, you know, and of course I cook a lot of different fish. I love fishing all over, saltwater, freshwater. I like different recipes, not just fried fish.
Yeah.
But I think you know, if you were asked my wife and kids who's the best cook in our family, it's hands down dad, not mom. You know, like I'm always cooking and grilling because I enjoy it. You know, when I get home, it's like this standard routine of charging the boat. Like I get the boat plugged in, unload my gear, I get the grill going, because we grill out like all summer long. And then it's back to like rigging rods, doing things. My son's always helping me. And then, you know, we're at the grill. I mean, that's just like what we do. You know?
What would you say one of your favorite ways to cook fish is? Like, you know, because I mean, like a lot of people fry fish, which I love fried fish, but there's so many different ways that you can cook it. So
I mean, I'm a huge fan of obviously fish tacos, but fish tacos on the Blackstone.
Oh yeah.
But I've also just been into like, you know, I've always been into like either baked fish, or I really like the Blackstone fish, but the pellet grill kind of gives it almost that smoky flavor.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed grilled fish. My 2 cents as far as giving people recipes on fishing, like, or giving people fish recipes for cooking, is like with fish, it's how you, I guess how you prepare it. I don't know if the right word, but like, when you get your fish, right, you want to fillet it, you want to clean it, and rinse it off really well, bleed your fillets out, all of that good stuff to get rid of that.
Oh, for sure.
Sort of fishiness. I know a lot of people that will freeze it with the skin on, and it gets sort of that fishy flavor in there. And so, getting that off, rinsed and prepared. But when I was down in Louisiana fishing, what I learned from the chef down there is he marinates a lot of his fish. So like he'll take the fillets, in addition to making sure that you clean it, keep it cold, rinse it off, is he will actually marinate it. So whatever you want on it, a lot of times he would just put a little olive oil, maybe some seasonings, garlic. Like I'm really into garlic. I like a little bit of lemon, but I'm more of like a garlic, oniony type of guy, even though I don't like eat raw onion, but I like that flavoring. But I will sort of marinate the fish with a little olive oil or whatever, and then just throw it on the pellet grill. But I always tell people, don't put it in. Everybody puts fish in aluminum foil. It gets all watery and nasty. No, if you're gonna put it on foil, just leave the foil open and set it out right. So how about you, man? You're the grill expert.
Yeah,
let's hear your.
Well, I mean, I said it before. I do love a good fried fish. I mean, just going back to the fishing trip, it's like you go up there, you're with the guys, we're frying fish that we just caught. They're curling because we literally just filleted them. And but love bringing fish home as well. And I'm definitely a fish taco kind of guy. I have something similar to a Blackstone, but just putting like some blackening season on there and
just
cook
a
them.
flat grill.
Oh yeah, yep. Just put them in some butter and cook it, and I mean, I could eat that every day, literally.
Me too. And in addition to that, like we've even done the next level where you're like take like the lime rice and do the lime rice and then fresh peppers. Like we have a huge garden, so we'll like cut up peppers and throw them on there. So like whatever you like with it. My wife loves lemons, so she puts tons of lemon on. I'm okay on the lemon. I'm more of like the peppers, the onion, the garlic, the things like that, and like sort of mixing it in my fish taco. And then for me, like I don't even need the tortilla with it. I could just like make it a bowl.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
And so we do a lot of that with fish. We do a lot of like cast and blast. In addition to fishing, I love hunting. So I like to learn different recipes for venison or for elk or ducks or goose or whatever. I want to prepare it and I want it to taste good, and so I'm always trying different things, whether it's like rolls or wraps or mixing things together. And do you do any wild game stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been a deer hunter my whole life and do a lot of bow hunting at home. Now that we've moved out and have a little more land to do that, but we love venison. I mean, and I think people don't realize that venison and beef are so interchangeable. I always say to someone that says, "Oh, venison's tough and gamey," and same thing with the fish. It's like you just haven't had it prepared right, you know. And there's just so many things, like you could make a chimichurri with it, like just a sauce to put over it and grill it up. You can marinate them, but really, I mean, people also overcook venison a lot, which is another thing. So, funny enough, I have a photographer for my food blog, and we actually have a handful of new wild game recipes coming on the blog as well. So I'm excited to share that because love fishing, love hunting, and it's why not marry this whole barbecue and cooking thing all together with it,
Heck yeah. I always tell people when they come to our house too, they're like, "Oh, I don't eat fish. I don't eat venison." Yeah. So like I'll purposely like cook it. And then, just nonchalantly, I make a point of doing that, just so they can experience it, because so many people are like, "Wow, that's venison." Yeah. Or, I have a few buddies that have like mentioning the Vikings boat, the wrapped Lund boat, Vikings boat. I'm a huge Vikings fan. Yeah. I grew up in Minnesota. And we'll go over to my buddies, man cave or whatever, and I'll purposely make a dish that's like it's deer season, for example. I'll make a dish that has venison in it. Or I'll bring fish over there, and just so people can try it, because there's so many different ways that you can cook things. And like you said, it's how you prepare it. You can interchange a lot of the recipes that I have for venison. I literally just stole, whether it was Szechuan beef, right? Or anything like that. Yes. And I just stole that recipe and then substituted venison and tried it. And I was like, "Oh, that's great." Yeah.
And it's healthier and you know where it's coming from. So I was talking to Ryan last week, and he told me he makes a walleye Alfredo. Okay. And I'm kind of intrigued on that one. That actually sounds pretty good.
It sounds super good.
Yeah,
And I might be stealing that
Yeah.
because I love Alfredo
Yeah.
anyway. And I've done fish with like fish and white sauces, different, you
Yeah.
know. We do like one on the flat grill where it's like a white sauce that goes over the top of it. And like I love experimenting like that.
Oh, for sure. Talking about saltwater, have you ever done ceviche?
Love it.
Yeah, that's pretty
tons of ceviche,
Yeah.
all sorts of different kinds from,
Yeah.
you know, conch ceviche to tuna to snook to whatever saltwater fish. I mean, I've heard, of people actually doing freshwater ceviche.
Okay. Wow. I don't know that I'm willing to try that one.
Risky. I think it's how they cure it. It's cured a little bit more.
For sure.
Whether it's salt and lime
Yeah.
a little longer than you normally
Yeah.
normally
Just a
would do
little
it.
extra long.
Yeah, I definitely would,
Yeah.
unless you enjoy tapeworms or something.
Yeah, no, not so much.
Yeah.
No. We did it. So last few years I've gone down to Florida. I have a buddy that lives down there, Jordan. And we catch snook, reds, trout. And that's what we're like, all right, we're going to try this finally. And it was so good. Just refreshing on a hot day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ceviche, even like I like catching tuna too, and just having fresh tuna on the boat, cutting off a chunk. I was up in New England this last year and caught a tuna. We were bluefin tuna fishing, and he's like, all right, here we go. Literally cut off a chunk of tuna, had it right in the boat, had a little soy sauce.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Sounds amazing. I love tuna.
So, okay. What are some of the types of grills you like using? Okay, I've called out a few of my favorites.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what are the types of grills you like using? You like your equipment? I want to learn from the best here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've probably had 30 plus grills or smokers over the years, just like
I can't
working
imagine.
with different companies and, whatever. But I mean, I personally, it's in my name, but I love a pellet grill. I do think it just makes things easier for people. You don't always have to babysit it, but with a pellet grill, like you can smoke or you can actually grill. And a lot of them like these days have like, you can, flip it open and you're cooking over direct flame as well. But I also have like a Kamado style smoker and grill. I love that because I just love the taste of like charcoal, especially when you go start talking about venison and wild game. It's like you just infuse that wood smoke flavor into it a little bit more. But a griddle, oh man, love my griddle as well. I have a Weber griddle and just cooking breakfast in the morning, eggs, hash browns, bacon. I love my house smelling like bacon because it's just, who doesn't love bacon? But on a griddle that's 36 inches wide, you can feed an army on that thing.
We did a walleye eggs Benedict.
Oh,
that was super
that
good.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, going back to like kind of that white sauce. We did eggs Benedict. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
That was my son's idea.
Yeah.
Because I think we were down in Florida or something. We had, I think it was lobster, shrimp, eggs Benedict. And we're like, let's do that with walleye. So we took a chunk of walleye, cut it in thirds, and literally just did the eggs Benedict on the flat grill.
Oh, yeah.
So
that sounds amazing. So I got to ask you this. When it comes to barbecue, what's your favorite barbecue food? Are you a brisket guy? Or are you like what,
See, so I love chicken.
Okay. Yeah.
And, grilling chicken on the pellet grill is a game changer.
It's elite.
You could throw it in there. What I've also learned is like any type of pork, pork chops, for example.
Oh, yeah.
I always hated pork chops growing up. They're super tough. Unless my mom did the
In the
mushroom
crock pot.
gravy crock pot where they were falling apart. Other than that, I just didn't really care for them. They're super dry, not good. Pellet grill, you throw them in there, 45 minutes later, you're like, dang, this is like next level.
Yeah.
But it's hard to beat. I do love grilling steak. I like grilling venison. But if I had to like pick one, it would be ribs.
Yeah.
I love ribs.
Oh, yeah.
They're usually pretty affordable. You go to, Costco or Sam's or wherever, and you get like, the big stack for, pretty reasonable. In the last few years, it seems like pork's a little cheaper. I'm not like a put a brisket on all day type of guy. I'm so busy fishing all the time, and it's hard for me to do that. And so I usually leave that up to a couple of my buddies. My buddy Pete all the time, he's always throwing briskets on the, on his flat or his pellet grill. But I enjoy eating all of it, and I like trying all sorts of different things, different rubs. I've learned a lot about, I didn't know, that you could put, Tabasco or mustard or anything like that, on these things. And it doesn't taste like that. You
Oh,
know,
for
like
sure.
the mustard thing
Yeah.
kind of threw me for a loop, you know?
The yellow mustard binder.
Yeah, and I want to try that with fish too.
Yeah, yeah.
I've heard like people saying that when they grill fish, they'll do like a binder.
Well, mayo's another one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you got the egg in there. And
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. I use my pellet grill a lot for smoking fish.
Yeah. What are you smoking, salmon or what do you?
Salmon primarily,
Yeah.
lake trout, little cohos.
Yeah.
You know, I like those little
Oh, yeah.
cohos. We went up to Alaska a few years ago. But I've also done like crappies.
Yep.
Crappies take on a really good smoke flavor.
Yeah.
Just how thin they are. I've actually just cut the head off, scaled them with the skin on, and then put them in the brine, and then smoked them, and they turn out great.
Oh, I've never
I like
tried
making
that. I
like
like
a
that idea.
salmon, like a crappie dip.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
Oh,
Love smoked fish. I also love pickled fish. I know, like, it's crazy since my son was like younger than Caden's age. We've always fed him all sorts of weird types of fish and stuff, and he liked it. And he always liked pickled fish. He'd be sitting around with the old guys eating pickled fish when he was a little kid,
Yeah.
and all these old
Yeah.
guys are like, "What the heck?"
Yep.
You know. And he's eating pickled herring. And,
Oh, yeah.
but I like like homemade pickled fish
Yep.
better than the store bought.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's a similar situation with my kids. I'm like, hey, what do we want for dinner tonight? And it's like, oh, how about a tomahawk steak or like brisket? And I'm like, okay, I'm setting their expectations, you know, for future in life here.
It's hard to go to a restaurant after Dad's been cooking for you, right, Caden?
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
What's your favorite thing that I cook?
Steak.
Steak? Yeah.
Just any steak, technically.
All right. Can't go wrong with a steak.
Yep, you can't.
All right, Caden, we've been talking fishing and eating. All right, let's talk a little fishing here, bud. All right. So you guys are going on a fish. I don't want to know the location because we don't want all our listeners going to your secret hotspot. But, what kind of trips are you looking forward to? What kind of species are you looking forward to fishing? What kind of trips this summer are you looking forward to as soon as school gets out? Or maybe before? Maybe Dad's going to take you out of school one day.
He gets to miss a couple days on the fishing trip. So,
There you go. My son too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to like going up to the Boundary Waters, maybe,
Okay.
and fishing. I don't really.
What about the fishing trip?
Well, yeah, obviously the fishing trip.
Guys trip.
Yeah, the guy
Yeah, the
trip. What do
guys
you
trip.
like to catch on the guy trip?
Northern bass, all of that good stuff.
Is it in Minnesota or is it in Canada?
It's in Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, a lake in northern Minnesota.
Yeah, right. There's just a couple.
That's what I always tell
There's only
someone.
a couple.
Yeah. Well, we catch a lot of walleye, enough to eat for a few days and even take some home. And just over the years, it's been fun seeing him, playing with the minnows and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden, he's at a point where he can put his own minnows on and he's catching fish and taking his own fish off. And it's just cool to, as a parent, like seeing your kids, I should say, because my daughters love to fish too, but just taking on your hobbies and just seeing them grow and excel in that and just make memories, kind of like you were talking about with your kids. I don't know that my kids, maybe they're not old enough to be as competitive, but I hope so someday that we can get that going.
Well, we have, I'm going to date myself here, but we were just like cleaning, we're doing some spring cleaning. My wife was like cleaning out some stuff underneath the bed and we found one of those digital photo frames where it like rolls through. So I'm like, we're not leaving this under a bed. Let's plug this baby in. So we plugged it in and it's like every picture is like me in the back of the boat with my son sitting on my lap in a Lund.
Yeah.
Then it was like all of us standing in the front of our Lund boat. And then the next picture was like someone took it from another boat and it's our whole family in a Lund. Then it was at the Lund photo shoot with my daughter with like the Lund. It was like, we were joking. We're like, gosh, do you guys even work? I mean, that's all you do is sit in a boat, And, but going through those pictures, like sparked the memories of like how many good times you have.
Definitely.
As an angler who's, makes a living on the water, I'm always focused on like the fish catching portion of it.
Yep.
But like you, my favorite memories are always of that, of like sitting around the deep fryer, sitting around the grill at fish camp. I was lucky enough, my dad took me fishing all over the place. He fished tournaments and, I'd be sitting, we'd pre-fish together and then, we'd be sitting at the campsite afterwards, or he had like a truck camper and we'd always be grilling out or eating fish, deep frying fish every night. I remember going up to all sorts of different places and frying fish with my family at my grandparents'. My parents every Sunday would have a fish fry with their friends. Like not every Sunday, but lots of Sundays in the winter. We'd fry up perch we caught on Winnie or walleyes or whatever. And that was like a thing. Like we all got together. All the kids would be outside playing football, doing whatever. And the parents would have a fish fry. And like those are just all fond memories. And they're all surrounding food and fishing.
Good core memories right there. Absolutely. And, you know, I mean, your boat, man, this thing is awesome. Lund has, they just always do a good job. I mean, really.
They are. They're the most well thought out boat that you can get into.
Yep.
And coming down here, you can, you know, talk to all sorts of people at the booth, like we said earlier, where, you know, it depends on what style of boat you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a smaller boat, smaller family boat, they've got them. If you're looking for a giant Pro V, if you're looking for a crossover, I know a lot of people gravitate towards the crossovers or tie-ees or something where they can, you know, really specialize in doing both, whether they like skiing and tubing and whatever. But I can tell you this boat will spend a lot of time tubing in addition to fishing. My kids love tubing. You know, that's like a thing in our family. We spend, like, I'll get off the water and then I'm back on the water tubing, you know, till dark. We do that. We do that a lot.
Well, you know, as the dad, like we get more enjoyment out of it trying to get the kids off, right?
All the time. Like the amount of gas and hours I'll burn in this boat based on tubing alone is right up there. So, well, you got, let's see, it's March now. You got about 2 months left of school?
Yeah.
2.5 months. Okay. Yep. But you know what? The lakes are going to start going out. You'll be able to do a little crappie fishing.
We're all about that.
Yep.
What's your biggest fish you've ever caught, Caden?
Around 2 feet.
Big northern?
Yes.
Nice. Now, the lake you guys go up to, you have big walleyes on there, or is it like a lot of eater walleyes? Both?
It's more like both.
See, I'm trying to get the lake out of here.
I'm teasing. Don't give in, Caden.
What's your biggest walleye you've ever caught?
I mean, I don't really catch that big of walleyes, so
maybe this year's your year, bud.
Probably like a 13 or a 14, which, you know, those are great.
Heck yeah.
Great eaters.
When I was your age, where I fell in love with fishing, I loved bass fishing. I like pike fishing. I used to walk the shoreline at my parents' lake, and I'd cast and catch pike. I'd walk up and down the river system and catch whatever. I just liked catching fish.
Yeah.
But it's when I started catching walleyes is when I was like hooked on fishing. And now different kid, you know, every kid's different. My son loves walleye fishing, loves bass fishing. And I did too. I was a huge bass angler as well when I was younger, but I just remember catching that first walleye and it was like, okay, this is what I want to do. You know?
You were hooked.
Yeah.
Growing up for me, you know, I talked about going on this trip. We always catch walleyes, but my grandpa and my dad would always take me trout fishing in the streams in like Duluth there. Oh, that's for me, like that's really what got me hooked. Just being able to walk through the streams, like you can sometimes see them.
Oh yeah.
You know, go looper fishing and all that stuff. It's just coho. We'd fish coho right on Lake Superior.
Is that where you grew up in that area?
That's where my family was from, and then we moved down to the cities. So grandparents were up there, and we'd literally would go up north every single weekend, whether it was to one grandparent or the other. And one way or another, we were fishing every weekend.
I have this connection with like anybody from that area because I grew up in the Moose Lake area, which is south there. But
for sure,
same thing. Like I loved going up. Still, Lake Superior to me is like the ocean. You know, it's just so cool. And yeah, it's awesome, man. Well, I hope you guys have an awesome summer. I appreciate you coming down to the show and sitting on the podcast.
Yeah,
this
thanks
is great.
for having
When
us.
Ryan was like, when Ryan told me this, I was like, yeah, whatever, man. I love.
Yeah.
I mean, I like I said, I love eating and I love fishing. So this is great. And to have you on here, I'd definitely be checking out your videos.
I appreciate it.
Let everybody know kind of your podcast, or I'm sorry, your YouTube channel and your socials, Instagram. They can find you on.
Yeah. It's just burnt at Burnt Pellet Barbecue on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, all of them. So, and then
I think all of our listeners love fishing, and most of them love grilling. As well, so.
I'm kind of leaving here hungry. So talking about all this food.
Let's go to your guys' house. We'll sit in your boat, and your dad can cook us some tomahawk steaks.
I like that.
All right, stay tuned. We got more Dialed In Angling coming your way from the Northwest Sports Show. Thanks, guys.
Yep, appreciate it.
There is nothing quite like Minnesota winter. Whether you want to try ice fishing, ice skating, or ice boating, make sure you know the risks and how to play safe on the ice. Measure ice thickness frequently and never go out alone. Always wear a life jacket or float coat and have ice picks readily accessible in case you fall through. Playing on the ice can be fun, but it's never 100% safe. Learn how you could play safe before you go out. Safety is always in season. A message from the Minnesota DNR.
OnX Fish is the best tool I have ever used for finding new lakes to target. Quickly filter lakes by species, then select trophy potential, high abundance, keeper potential, or high stocking effort to find the fish you are after in the size and the numbers you are trying to catch. Download from the App Store today to get research tools for the serious anglers and beginners alike, giving you the data to target the right lakes and the confidence to get there. Use tools like recent imagery, fishing hotspot data, or the best-in-class weather features that call out current wind, weather, barometer, moon phase, majors and minors, along with precip and more. OnX Fish is a phenomenal tool both on and off the water for discovering new fishing opportunities, many of which you'd never known existed. Download OnX Fish Midwest today, the app that is changing the game on ice and open water.
Runnings Home, Farm, and Outdoor stores are celebrating 78 years, serving 90 local communities across the Upper Midwest, the Northeast, and America's Heartland. Runnings has everything you and your family need for your home, on the farm, and in the outdoors. Lawn and garden, hardware, farm and ranch supplies, sporting goods, housewares, snacks, and everything for your pets. Go to runnings.com to find one of the 90 locations near you, or shop online anytime at runnings.com. Runnings, your home, farm, and outdoor store.
The Fishing Reports section of Dialed In Angling Podcast is presented by Minnesota DNR.
What's going on, guys? Randon Olson here with Lockjaw Guide Service with an Otter Tail County Fishing Report. Fishing continues to be great up here. We're starting to get towards that spring, kind of late season panfish bite. We're starting to get a little runoff. You know, lakes are changing, ice is changing. So those fish are kind of starting to pull up shallow. We're seeing that 10 foot or less get really good. And we're doing a lot more of a little bit bigger baits, you know, smaller spoons with plastics on them, lipless crankbaits, kind of things like that. To get those a little more aggressive baits, we're kind of getting rid of all that live bait and going to plastics or artificials completely. So, but yeah, so fishing wise, that's all really good. Ice conditions wise, it's the big question that we get a lot. With the removal date last weekend, a lot of the accesses got kind of beat up with everybody pulling houses off. Plus it warmed up, never really got a chance to heal. So the danger spots are the points, heaves, and accesses. But other than that, I mean, we're 20 some inches yet of ice, great ice. We're still plenty good. It is starting to change colors. It's going to start getting a little softer as we go here. I think we got another 2-3 weeks left, maybe, looking at the weather. So when you come up to go fishing, watch those accesses, watch those danger areas. Other than that, use your common sense. You'll be just fine. We still got a couple weeks left up here. So if you're looking forward to go fishing or you're looking to do a spring fishing trip, you can give us a call at 218-640-0158. You can find us on Facebook at Lockjaw Guide Service, or you can find us on our website at lockjawguideservice.com. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Tony Roach here. I thought I'd give you a quick ice report for northern Minnesota. You know, I've been all over the ice from Mille Lacs all the way up to Leech, and it's crazy how quickly the snow is melted on the lakes in northern Minnesota and how quickly the landings are starting to deteriorate pretty quickly, especially with this rain we're having this weekend. We're going to get a little bit of snow in northern Minnesota over the weekend, and so just use extreme caution when you're heading out on the ice. I know there's a lot of great ice fishing left, and we've got a lot of ice in a lot of areas in northern Minnesota, but you really got to use caution. Calling ahead to the resorts if you're planning on heading up to certain destinations, and just checking every bit of ice as you're going out. You know, I'm gonna quickly switch back over to using my ATV, snowmobile, breaking out the skidoo, and even walking at times, just because some of those north-facing landings are melting pretty quickly. Some of the southern landings, if they're on the south end of the lake, are still covered by trees. I know around my house we still have snow in the woods and in my yard, but on the lakes it's melted very fast here this week. So I just thought I'd throw that tidbit out there. The fish have been biting pretty well. A lot of these fish that were out in the deeper wintering basins are starting to slide towards the shoreline, towards the vegetation. They're getting more active and aggressive with the oxygen levels starting to rise. A lot of these fish are starting to creep up underneath the ice, which they do this time of year. But if you're going to go out chasing fish, just make sure you're bringing the spud bar, the picks with you, the float suit, using caution and discretion as you're going out. But we've got some great ice fishing yet to come. So good luck this weekend. If you're not going ice fishing, I highly recommend you swing on down to the Northwest Sports Show and check out everything that the show has to offer.
Trigger Roach with TR Guide Service here in the Bernard Lakes area. The pan fishing is really good right now. We're finding crappies out in the basins, the edge of the basins. Not many of them. We're seeing schools of 10, 20 crappies kind of here and there. Drill out those high pressure areas and you're going to find some crappies using jigging spoons tipped with minnow head and jigging plastics to catch those. We'll find that most of our bluegills have shallow in the sparse weeds and then 11 to 15 foot of water range. We're getting some crappies mixed in. Bluegills have been biting on jigging plastics, jig with the wax or ear lure on that, and then crappies to wean out the crappies mixed in with the bluegills. We're upsizing to a bigger size tungsten jig with an inch and a half inch plastic to get those. This is Trigger Roach. We'll see you in the next one.
All right, we're going to put a wrap on this podcast, but before I go from the Lund booth down at the Northwest Sports Show, I'd like to introduce my next guest, Student Anglers Tournament Trail. I know you guys are sponsored by Lund. You're sponsored by Rapala. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about the Student Angler Tournament Trail?
I'm Natalie Peterson. I'm the president of the Student Angler Tournament Trail. We have been, because Lund obviously is our biggest sponsor, we have been running the Fishing 101 booth for, I think it's been maybe 9 years. We get our volunteers from our high school kids and middle school kids around the state from different fishing teams. They come out, volunteer their time to talk fishing, and we have a bingo game. We have the Lunker Lake and coloring. They can win prizes and things like that. That's what we're here.
Ton of interactive things to do down at the Lund booth. You know, in addition to checking out all the Lund models that they have on display here, you can come down. The kids can run around Lunker Lake. They can check out the Student Angler, the Student Angler Tournament Trail. I always say too, I wish this would have been around when I was a kid, right? I see all these young anglers running around with their tournament jerseys on. That would have been right up my alley. And we live in such a beautiful country that we are blessed to have student angling. And it's just one of the coolest things that has come out of fishing, I'd say, in the last 10 years.
Yes, we hear that. I mean, every hour, at least somebody walks by and says, geez, I would have been to school more often if we had this when I was a kid. But that's kind of how the Student Angler Tournament Trail became about, because we wanted to give more opportunities for these young kids to fish. So in 2017, we had our first small trail, and we quickly realized, wait a minute, this is going to be too big. So we created our own nonprofit, and that's when we approached Lund, and they were right on board with us from day one, said, let's get this started. And now we're having 200 boat tournaments around the state. So it's great to see. My favorite, I tell everyone this that asks me, my favorite thing is a different sport than your basketball or your football. These kids across the different schools become friends, and lifelong friendships, rather than you're my competitor, you're from a different town, I'm not going to, you're my enemy. My son went through the program, and still to this day, he's been out for, I think, 4 years now, and he still talks to kids that he fished with from different teams. And it's just great. And to see the kids too here that volunteered previously come back to Fishing 101 in the Lund booth and come by and see us to say hi. And, it's great.
That's super cool. Yeah, I love seeing kids all around here. We've talked on this podcast in great length about, families in fishing and how Lund Boats is the ultimate fishing machine, but it's also the ultimate family fishing machine. And, student tournament fishing is just another branch of that. And what kind of events do you have coming up this summer? If the listeners either want to get involved or they want to swing down to the Lund booth and check out Lunker Lake and some of the student tournament trail information for themselves, what events do you guys have going on?
Yep. So each year we do a regional day event, and then we also have 4 open events. So the regional day we kick off in May. Then I guess it's actually the week after Memorial, we start our regular tournaments. We'll be going to the Mississippi River, Lake Minnetonka, Mille Lacs, and Leech Lake. And then our TOC this year will be on August 9th on Gull Lake. And our state team will be up in Pelican and Orr, Minnesota. We try to pick lakes that are obviously big enough because we do have quite a few boats, but also try to spread it out so there's not travel for everybody as far. But obviously with our size, it is a little different. But one of the new things this year is our juniors, kids that are in 7th grade and below, they sometimes don't have as many opportunities as high school kids. So there was a few smaller little leagues that were running around last year and a few years before that. So we had 2 coaches from the metro area approach us and wanted to kind of take on a junior league per se and get these kids ready for the SATT when they turn into high school kids. So they'll be starting that up this year. They're going to start in June as well. They'll be going to Waconia, Bay Lake, and then Green Lake and Spicer. And their TOC will be the day before our TOC in the Brainerd area. Those permits are pending, so we're not positive yet on the lake for that. But that is something new. A lot of kids that come through the booth, some of them don't know that there's fishing teams out there. So it's great to stop in and get some information and see, hey, where's the nearest school, or how do you start up a team? We help them get a team started and answer those questions and kind of can point them in the right direction as well.
That's cool. I know there's obviously a lot of schools and regions out there that have, some sort of angling program that are involved, with tournaments with you guys and whatnot and do their own leagues. But yeah, the Lund booth is a great opportunity to swing by, talk to you guys. I know you'll be here all weekend. You can talk to anglers if there's parents that are interested in getting it set up in their community, in their school. I know you guys will have a ton of information for them.
Yep, absolutely. Like I said, I love to say that because we were one of the first teams in Minnesota, I had to learn on my own some things and learn the hard way. And so I like to share all my information.
Sure.
I'm like, here, you want my handbook? Here, use it, change it. I want it to be easy for anybody to do. And one thing that I forgot to mention is Lund donates the Student Angler Tournament Trail a boat each year. The anglers sell raffle tickets for that. They use it as a fundraiser for their team. So a $20 ticket, $10 goes straight to college scholarships right here in Minnesota. We've been giving away $65,000 on the last 4 years. And then $5 is retained for administration costs and things like that. And $5 goes back to the school that sells it. So that boat is, doubling what the MSRP, I guess, is for our anglers and helping just promote student angling and helping those schools get jerseys on their backs and different things like that. So
that's awesome. So the raffle tickets are available.
Absolutely.
Can buy a raffle ticket, and then they auction off the boat, or they raffle off the boat at the end of the year?
Yep. On August 9th at our TOC up in Brainerd, we will be drawing the boat there. The boat is the main prize, but then we do have some other prizes. There's a locator, some Shields gift cards, and a grill, and a Yeti cooler on there as well.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks for jumping on the podcast.
No problem.
I know a lot of student anglers that are walking around the booth right now with their jerseys on. They're helping out youngsters fishing. Obviously, they can check out everything that Student Angler Tournament Trail has, SATT. You can buy a raffle ticket if you're down here. You can jump on a brand new Lund boat. A lot to do at the Northwest Sports Show, so you're going to want to swing on down. There's a ton of great deals on boats. In addition, swing by Lunker Lake with the kids, hop in a new Lund boat. If you want to break the winter blues and you want to get ready for spring, this is the time to do it. The official, unofficial kickoff to spring is always the Northwest Sports Show. It always has been for me. And so I'm super pumped to be doing this podcast from my Lund boat down at the show. So swing on down. I'll be around all weekend. I'll be here Saturday. I'll be here Sunday answering any questions about the boat that you may have. Also, if you just want to talk fishing, if you want to check out the Student Angler Tournament Trail, the Lunker Lake. We got it all down at the Northwest Sports Show. So we are dialed in for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Until next week, this has been the Dialed In Angling Podcast.